President Obama is here. The Commander-in-Chief, serious basketball fan, and like so many Americans, he has some opinions about the 68 teams in the NCAA tournament field.
As has been the case throughout his presidency, college basketball has remained a diversion for the president, and this year ESPN was invited back to the White House for the third consecutive year as the president unveiled his March Madness bracket. Due to time constraints, we move along further in the action as ESPN filled in. The president picks up his Sweet 16 picks prior to the taping.
Well, Mr. President, appreciate you taking the time from a very busy schedule, certainly with everything that's pressing going on in the world today.
Well, look, Andy, obviously we are going through incredible changes all around the world. Most recently, obviously, our hearts go out to the people of Japan. One thing I want to make sure the viewers who are filling out their brackets, this is a great tradition. We have fun every year doing it. But while you're doing it, if you're on your laptop, etc., go to usaid.gov, usaid.gov. And that's going to list a whole range of charities where you can potentially contribute to help the people who've been devastated in Japan. I think that would be a great gesture as you're filling out your brackets. They can help out some people who are really going through a tough time.
In the Southwest bracket, where you've already moved Kansas and Louisville, Purdue and Notre Dame down to the Sweet 16, who do you like in that Kansas-Louisville matchup?
Now, I picked Kansas last year.
I know, to win it.
To win it, and I got hurt. But I'm looking at those twins, the Morris brothers. I think they've got depth, they've got experience, and although Louisville's a terrific team, I don't think they can beat Kansas.
So this is an interesting in-state rival. Purdue, Notre Dame, what do you like there?
Tough one, but in the end, I think that Purdue's going to be able to pull it out.
Let's go down to the Southeast. Pittsburgh against Kansas State, BYU against Florida. I know you've been extremely busy. Have you had any kind of chance to see Jimmer Fredette from BYU?
Unbelievable. Best scorer, obviously, in the country. Great talent, but they've lost their inside presence. If they were at full speed, I think they would pull this out in a tight game. I think Florida's going to end up winning this one.
All right, so right above that, Pittsburgh against Kansas State. We've discussed that if Pitt was in a different bracket with maybe some other teams, it might be a little more difficult for them to get out of that.
But because they're in what looks like the weakest bracket in the tournament, I think Pittsburgh's gonna pull this one out.
So let's come over here in the East before we fill it out. All right, Ohio State and Kentucky. So we've got Kentucky advancing here. Who do you like in that matchup?
Ohio State looks terrific. That young guy in the middle,
Jared Sullinger,
knows how to play.
Syracuse against North Carolina. They've changed throughout the course of the season where they've become suddenly a Final Four contender. Who do you like in this matchup? I
like Carolina. I love Roy Williams. I think he's a great coach. Those two freshmen, Barnes and Marshall, have really picked up their game.
And there's good karma, because the first time we did this, you picked Carolina and they won. All right, Duke against Arizona.
Last year, I did not pick Duke, and Coach K gave me a hard time. So I'm going with Duke. Get into the Elite Eight.
UConn against upstart San Diego State. Now, did you catch any of Kemba Walker running through his tournament?
I saw Kemba Walker. The guy plays like a pro already. So I've got to go with Connecticut, as good as San Diego State is.
Kansas against Purdue.
I think Kansas keeps on winning. I'm giving them a chance at redemption.
Pitt against Florida in the Southeast.
And on this one, I think Pitt's going to win.
Ohio State against North Carolina in Newark. This will be a big-time game if it occurs.
As much as I love Roy Williams, I think Ohio State's got the talent this year to keep on going.
Duke against Connecticut, Nolan Smith against Kemba Walker. Who do you like in that one?
I'm going to pick Duke, mainly because I think Connecticut, other than Kemba Walker, is a really young team.
So you went chalk here, all #1 seeds.
I have never picked all #1 seeds. As I said, if this bracket were a little different, I might pick it a little different.
All right, so a Kansas versus Pittsburgh semifinal, who wins?
That's Kansas. They keep on going. They're on a mission.
Ohio State against Duke.
And I'm going to pick Ohio State.
It's always good to have new champions come to the White House. So that'd be
absolutely.
We actually have the same national championship game.
There you go.
Ohio State versus Kansas.
And I'm picking Kansas.
Right,
just because I think they're deeper. I think that Kansas has more firepower.
Well, I went with Ohio State, but this year you go with Kansas after last year?
After last year, look, here's what happened. I picked North Carolina. They lost. The next year they won for me. I think Kansas is going to do the same thing. They always feel bad about losing when the president picks them. They're going to go all the way.
You didn't have any other help?
I read your column and then disregarded everything you said.
Well, I'm glad I could be of service to you in some form.
Thanks, Andy.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Appreciate you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right.